Maxime Bernier is running to replace Justin Trudeau as Prime Minister in Canada. He says he's facing opposition for his candidacy being kept off debate stages. Does that sound familiar? Like RFK Jr., Bernie Sanders, he's getting that treatment, which means he must have something that the establishment does not want to hear. He was on Redacted last month to tell us about his candidacy, but since then, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has resigned. He joins us again to discuss the state of his campaign in Canada, whether the Canadian government is running now in the absence of Justin Trudeau's leadership, and how Canada now feels about the U.S. under President Trump. Thank you so much for joining us again. It's a pleasure to speak with you again, sir.
Thank you. I'm very pleased to be with you.
So recently you posted an update on your X account saying that you are being kept from the debate stage because of technicalities. Can you explain that to us? Because as Americans, that's very familiar to us. We saw RFK Jr. not able to participate in debates under the incumbent Democratic Party. So tell us what's happening and explain what they're saying to keep you from the Canadian people.
Yes, shortly for your American audience. We created the People's Party in 2018. In 2019, I was able to participate in the national debates. And in 2021, our last general election in Canada, they told us that we need to meet one of two criteria to be able to participate in the debate. One was to have 4% of the vote at the last general election, the previous election. We didn't have that. We started the party. We had only 1.6% of the vote. The second one was to be at 4% in the polls 28 days before the election. And for that, they said that they're going to use an average of all the polls. So at that time, I was at 4.5% in the polls across the country, across Canada, but they took a poll that was giving me only 1%. My average went down to 3.2, and they said, Bernier, you cannot participate in that debate. Remember, in 2021, I was the only national politician in Canada that was speaking against the COVID hysteria and all these mandates. So I received a call a couple of months ago from the Leaders Debate Commission, from the civil servant, and they said, Bernier, we want to have a meeting with you because we need to know what kind of debate you looked at, what would be the process for the next debate. We are having an interview with every leader. I said, perfect, and they said, we're going to keep the criteria. You add 4% of the vote at the previous election. Yes, in 2021, we had 5% of the vote. So they said, you'll be in the debate. But last week, they issued their new rule, and they said now, Bernier, you need to, the 4% of the previous election is not there anymore. And so there's a new criteria, the one that I must have 4% in the polls 28 days before the election. And I know they're going to take an average. And I know that they can play with that like they did at the last election. So they are changing the criteria every time to be sure that the People's Party won't be there. You know, it's undemocratic, and we had 840,000 Canadians who voted for us at the last election. That's a censorship. They are censoring these people. They don't want their voice, the voice of the People's Party, to be at the debate, because we are not a globalist political party. We are a populist party, and our ideas are, you know, just right for Canadians, but not for these establishment political leaders.
But a poll is what demographers call a cross-section. It is a snapshot of a political temperance at one time. And so how are we to have any confidence on any given cross-sectional temperature of the Canadian people, given that your government is in free fall? Your prime minister has resigned. Your government is at a pause button. How can they not understand that we need a variety of voices, especially at a moment like this? That seems to me painfully obvious.
Yeah, but on the board, you must know that on the board of that Leaders Debate Commission, there's former politicians coming from these establishment political parties like the Conservative Party of Canada. And so for them, they don't want us. They don't want us to be there to question their position. They're afraid about what we must say, and they know that if we have that visibility, we will grow faster, but they don't want that. So, the 4%, and you're right about polls. Right now in Canada, we are maybe about 4 or 5% in the polls, but I don't have any visibility. I think that we will be able to double our score at the next election. But that being said, we need to have more visibility. And it's like, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and all these politicians in the US who were canceled by the mainstream media and were not able to participate in national debates. So it's sad for the democracy in our country. And, if people want to help us, they can sign a petition. And we have more than 10,000 people who signed that in 24 hours. So we're going to put more pressure on the debates commissions, but there's no appeal to their decision. So that's why we need people, Canadians, to help us to be part of the debate.
Right. And so do you think now that the establishment is pushing for Pierre Poilievre candidacy, even though they were initially against him because the media in Canada is so pro-Trudeau, but now that it's inevitable that he will no longer take office, does it seem like they just want these two establishment candidates, these two parties, and that's it?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. In Canada, you have usually 9 years of the Liberals, and after that, 9 years of the Conservative, 9 years of the Liberals, and it's always the same. So,
Yeah.
like you in US, Democrat and Republican, but now you have a new Republican Party with Trump, and that is not the Republican Party of 10 years ago. So that's a big change, and we saw that yesterday, Monday. Sorry, that was a great day for you in America, but that was a great day also for us in Canada.
And so if we take Donald Trump as a template, who may be considered more aligned with, I don't know, we can't call him an establishment Republican by any means. He went to libertarians and said, I represent you. Let's make a deal. They didn't actually buy it, but they didn't oppose him. Is there a path for you to become a non-establishment conservative, or are you committed to this third party?
Yeah, in the Conservative Party of Canada, there's no voice for, a guy like me. I was with them. I was a minister under the upper government. So for me, there's no returning in the Conservative Party. They're conservative in name only. They are afraid to speak about real conservative values. That's why we created the People's Party, and we are a proud populist party that is putting our country first, like President Trump is doing in the US.
And so do you feel like there is definitely a temperature for your party, but there are politically homeless people who don't know that you're waiting for them with open arms?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. The future will be great for us. I'm looking at everything that is happening in other Western countries, in France, in UK, in US. Populist movement are rising, and that will be the same for us. I'm traveling across the country right now, meeting a lot of people. I'm doing a great campaign on social media. Here in Canada, we may be in election this spring, or at least in October 2025. That will happen, and this election will be a great one for us. The populist voice may be in parliament after that election.
Yes, I watch you on X. My viewers can too, at Maxime Bernier, and no one can say that you're not pounding the pavement to raise awareness about your cause. You're working hard. I can see that. Tell us a little bit more about the Canadian temperature, about a new incoming Trump administration. Do you think Canadians are legitimately worried about American expansion, or do you think that they're watching with eyes wide open to see if America can actually secure its borders, bring down crime rates, and bring down prices for American consumers? What do you think what are you hearing on the campaign trail?
But what I'm hearing from the establishment politicians and the Trudeau, the Liberals, the Conservative, they're ready to have a trade war with US. They're afraid of the 25% tariffs, but the population is not. The population understands that Trump is a good negotiator, and what he wants is for us to secure our borders. But these main establishment political parties don't want to speak about that. They don't want to secure our border. They don't want to deport all of the illegals that we have in our country. They're not speaking about that. I'm the only one. So if we want to have a good deal with the US, with President Trump, it's very easy. You secure your borders, deport the illegals, moratorium on immigration, reinvest in your defense. And, we are a threat to the national security of the US, and we are a threat to the national security of Canadians also, and Canada. So, for example, the last 3 years, the US authority stopped about 400
Migrants.
what I say, migrants, no, 400 terrorists, terror suspects, 400 terror suspects at the border of the US, and 80% of them were coming from Canada. And last year, they arrested more than 200,000 illegals crossing the border from from Canada to the US. So we need to solve that. But at the political level in Canada, with these politicians, they're afraid. They don't want to do that. That's the only solution if we can have, and if we want to have a good deal with President Trump. So what I'm hearing across the country, people are very happy that we have Trump right now as a president for a lot of reasons. Free speech is important. Free speech on social media, the gender ideology, everything that he did yesterday was great for America. But it is in line with our electoral platform, the electoral platform of the People's Party of Canada. So that's why I think that the next election for us will be a good one.
So, do you think that is a major reason that Trudeau resigned? I never asked you because it happened after we spoke. What do you think are the reasons that Trudeau finally threw in the towel? Because he has said many times he wouldn't. It was maybe surprising, but not surprising.
Yeah, the pressure was coming from the establishment of his party. They want to stay in power. They know that with him that it will have been impossible. So what they're doing, and also the MPs elected, they wanted a new leader. The pressure was there. So now there's a leadership contest with the Liberal Party, but it will be the same. They have two candidates, Mark Carney and the former finance minister Freeland. One of them will win, but it will be the same leftist politics coming from the Liberal Party. So there's no change over there. But Trudeau just resigned because the reality was in his face. And if you look at the polls in Canada, the Liberal Party is not that popular with Justin Trudeau as a leader, but also the other leader that will be elected won't change anything.
Right. You had a post on X on the 21st, that was on Tuesday of this week, about the 10 tenets that the Trump administration has put into place that you think most Canadians stand for, that you, in fact, also stand for: protecting free speech, ending DEI, refusing asylum and illegal border crossings, ending the WHO, which you had said to us on Redacted, you would never sign the pandemic treaty and other UN agreements. So I encourage our viewers to look out for that. So as they're reviewing your policies and becoming familiar with your candidacy, where can they sign the petition to get you on the debate stage?
They can go on our website, peoplespartyofcanada.ca. The petition is over there, and I'll keep you informed, and I'll do everything. I will have a meeting with a couple of lawyers this week just to be sure if we can do something legally, and we'll do everything because it's so important that our voice and that voice be at the debate here in Canada during the next election.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure to speak to you again, sir. Please come back on Redacted.
Thank you very much. Have a nice day.